Guys, I wanted to do a video today, and this is not me putting anybody on blast or me wanting to draw more attention to the problem. This is a video for awareness and educational purposes to bring awareness to something that's very important, because there are two mentalities that will always decide what vibration our body is in. And that is ignorance, right? Mental ignorance and mental understanding. Mental understanding puts you in the vibration of love, the vibration of growth, the vibration of creativity. Ignorance puts you in the opposite: anxiety, worry, all of those other things. Fear. That's why I don't use that word. I use the word ignorance. And it's very important to understand what I'm about to explain to you. If you want to be in the understanding, you want to be all the time feeling good, creative, at a miracle vibration. And this is not the only piece. This is one of many pieces. You have to go watch our videos on the subconscious mind, on the higher faculties, on self-love, and how to truly understand and discover yourself, and not these religious dogma masks or societal masks that these families we're about to talk about sell people and get people to buy on and put in or put on. And guys, it's very important to understand this family, their dynasty goes back way before the European Catholic monarch, the Christian Crusades. The Christian Crusades and the European monarch of the Catholic Church was just the very beginning. This was just the peak of this family's power. And I want to make this video as short and practical as possible. I'm not going to start throwing a bunch of financial terms at you or financial vocabulary at you. I'm not going to start throwing a bunch of fancy technical terms at you. I'm going to make this as practical and as understandable for any person watching this video. And it's very important, though, to understand, and like I said, this monarch and this crusade goes beyond the Christian Crusades. This is just when they started to develop and they started to realize how easy it was to fool the masses, how easy it was to control the masses using this. And I use this analogy in my videos. We got Fred the monkey who does not think. But when you awaken, which is what all of our videos are about, you start to think for yourself. You know, you discover your inner self on the inside from within, not a religious dogma mask, not a societal dogma mask. You understand your true self from within, then you discover your one voice, and you're able now to have your free thinking and free will, to reprogram your subconscious mind at will however you want. But you got to discover yourself first. You got to start thinking first. And this family started to realize how easy it was with the Catholic Church that they could take this one prophet's death and this one symbol of his death and create a problem that only their religion could solve. And this is where we have now Judaism breaking away from Catholicism, a very major point where they broke apart. And it's amazing how the Jewish text has less books than the Catholic text, than the Christian text has more text, than the Catholic text. And then there's even more missing literacy from the Christian Bible. But anyways, that's a whole nother video. So anyways, this family started to realize how easy it was to control the masses with their Catholic Church, the European monarch, or the European system, which still exists and works aside the Rockefellers today. The royal English family is very powerful, and they're one of the handful of families that own a lot of the gold and the real wealth behind the scenes of a bunch of paper, which I'm sure we all understand. Like I said, I'm going to keep this basic, is just nothing more than a note of debt. It has no value. It's just more debt you're really collecting. And the gold, which is where the real value is, which is what dictates the dollar in many senses, the gold is all owned by these Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and these families. And not only do they own all the gold, they own all the banks, from Chase and Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Banco Mexico, all of the banks, except for banks in Syria and North Korea. They own banks in Russia, they own banks in China, they own all the media in the world in Russia, in China. They own the Rockefellers own all of the news in Russia and in China and the United States. Wow! Oh my gosh, people don't, wow, that makes sense now. So the Rockefellers, you can fact check me all day long. I'm going to post some links in the description. And guys, I want you to understand and think about something. I really need you to let the wheels in your head spin. Just real quick. Like I said, I'm keeping this video as simple as possible. Really quick think. I don't know if you watched the movie Breaking Bad, and I don't want to use something like that. I want to be more realistic. If a criminal family is working, these criminal families own all of the media and the news, and they're destroying humanity to fill their pockets, their greedy, selfish pockets more and more, and they own all of the media and the news. Do you think when you go to Google and you look up something, you fact check something, what do you think Google, which works with these families, what do you think Google is going to give you? They're going to give you articles that these families publish, these criminal families own. It's amazing how I give people factual information from third parties. And these are not just little college interns. These are experts. These are people who have been investigators and journalists their entire life. Some of the most brilliant minds on the planet, when I say my sources, third-party sources, that publish and expose this corruption. And a lot of these journalists have been killed in Europe for exposing this truth. One of them was raped and killed and beaten to death for exposing this truth by these families. And it's very important, though, to understand, you cannot go to Google and look this up. I just told you, these criminal families that are destroying the world own all of the news and media in the world, including Russia and China. And the Rockefellers, after the European development of the Catholic Church, and how they started to realize how easy it was to control this, the Crusades continued on to World War II. I'm going to start at World War II, since that's something everybody alive watching this video can connect to. And outside of the school systems that they own, including the History Channel, it's very important to understand something. And I'm very proud of I think it was my high school history teacher who bashed the shit out of George Bush, who was just a bought-off coward puppet politician, for sending our boys and girls to go die in that war, which we'll get into in a moment. Now, I want to backtrack. Like I said, I give credit where credit's due. I want to backtrack a little bit and go into World War II. And I found a post, a very powerful article from one of these third-party experts that don't work for these criminals, that are actually righteous and loving and fighting for what is good, willing to lay down their life like JFK. And it's he went on and basically was saying that in the Second World War, Ford, Standard Oil, and Chase Bank members of the State Department were among those who shared in the spoils, documented and dispassionately told this. He discovered this alarming story at its center. The fraternity that these criminal families, an international group associated with the Rockefeller and the Morgan banks had links and business as usual to the neo-Nazi campaign. He said, I had been born in a British family. My father had raised the first battalions of volunteers against the Germans in World War II. Wow, a lot of respect. You know, I have a lot of respect for my great uncle who was a Green Beret and the rest of my family. You know, I'm not bashing on them. I'm focusing on these people that took advantage of their lives, where they now lay in the ground because of these families, to fill these families' insecurities and selfish desires. You know, and he goes on to say, my family, knighted by King George IV, King George for his services to the crown, had been a member of parliament and a cabinet member. I am by no means discrediting this, and I have been adopted and have a great pride and sense for the United States of America too. Moreover, I am part Jewish in a world, and that is stamped in my heart forever. A little bit of a dogma mask going on there, but we'll let that go. The point is, he goes on to say, American corporate leaders, just like Jeff Bezos and Amazon and Facebook, all these corporations I brought up earlier, YouTube, disgusting, selfish, driven people. He goes on to say these American corporate leaders were in the league with Nazi corporations before and after Pearl Harbor, including IG Farben, the Colossus Nazi Industrial Trust, and created Auschwitz. All were represented internationally by the National City Bank or by the Chase National Bank and by Nazi attorney Westwick. Holy shit. Dr. Henrich had connections to the crucial Nazi economist Emil Pool of Hitler's Bank for International Settlements. Why did even the loyal figures of the American government allow the transactions to continue after Pearl Harbor? Holy shit. After 1945, the Cold War, which the executives had done so much to provoke, made it even more necessary that the truth of the elite's agreements should not be revealed, that their secrecy, these criminal families, not be revealed. But the truth is always going to come out. You destroy life, you destroy humanity, the truth is going to come out. He says, this elite investigator, he says, I then turned to the matter of the Rockefellers controlling Chase National Bank, which had conducted its business. Later, the Chase Manhattan Bank was the richest and most powerful financial institution in the United States at the time of Pearl Harbor. The Rockefellers owned and had many ties to the Nazi regime and much business occurring. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And this is where they really start to rise to power. This is where they really start to take psychopathic to a whole nother fucking level. You then fast forward to the 2001. You then fast forward to 2001. And at this point, the Rockefellers now own, like I said, with their criminal families, they now own banks all around the world except for North Korea and Syria. They now own the media in Russia, China, Bangkok, China, Tokyo, Japan, Moscow, Russia, everywhere. They now own bought-off politicians in Parliament, Congress, everywhere. So the Rockefellers then continue their conquest in 2001. The Rockefellers had investments, very deep investments. Telecom, which is owned by the Rockefellers, had their pockets deep in the Bush administration, George Bush II administration. These guys, man, you don't think FBI agents and CIA agents know how to act and pretend? Holy shit. Look at Tom Cruise, the Scientologist, the most awkward and creepy Scientologist, Tom Cruise, who was marketing and promoting coronavirus along, guess who else? Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck, the guy, the other most creepy and awkward and dull actor there is too. Who would have known? Anyways, rewind a little bit. we go back to the Iraq War. So now the Bush administration, which is endorsed by Telecom, this disgusting, like I said, I give credit to that high school history teacher for calling out this fucking prick, George Bush II, and all other presidents following him, for sending our boys and girls to the Middle East for this criminal family's disgusting conquest, selfish oil money, to fill their already trillions deep pockets even more. Just fucking disgusting. And I've talked to my Navy SEAL friends. I've talked to my Marine friends, and I'm not going to give out their names. I'm not going to risk their lives, or a lot of them are married now with children. But they all know now, now that what happened. And I don't bash on them, and they still have a proud sense, because at the time they had good intentions. But it is important for us to understand what happened here. There was 50,000 troops from all around the world based in the Middle East. There was a fucking army of 50,000 troops from all around the world that went to the Middle East. And this family was going to have their fucking oil money one way or another. And there was a lot of Middle Eastern, in a sense, without going into Middle Eastern politics, a civil war almost occurring where they were picking which side they wanted to fight on. When we go to Mexico and film our documentary, we're going to go into a lot of that, and the cartels, which was really created and works with ISIS by the left-wing propagandists, I call them, or these criminal families. But it's very important to understand that these families then go on, and while this is all occurring, they're using the subconscious mind to brainwash all of our children during the 1990s, the early 2000s, 1980s. They're using propaganda through the news they control to cover up all of their crimes, just like any criminal would do. They use the news that they own to so easily brainwash the masses. Propaganda. During the 1990s, the 2000s, and like I said, I've studied the subconscious mind and psychology and quantum physics my entire life. It's how we're curing, lipedema and autoimmune disorder, thyroid issues, oral bleeding, all kinds of issues, all around the world, using the subconscious mind. Because I don't have time to go into it, but basically, long story short, our subconscious algorithms or paradigms dictate the molecular structure and vibration of our body, or whatever our body's going to do. Our body is just a molecular structure that vibrates accordingly to our thoughts, or our subconscious thoughts. So this one family has been brainwashing the subconscious minds, aka the realities, of the masses for so long, while all of this is happening. It's why they passed a law that YouTube content creators that create children's content, can no longer be paid. And it's because they realized the same thing with the internet. Later on during the 2000s, we had a major revolution. And this is where we, the righteous and the people of the world, finally had the internet, that was not owned by these people. And we now had access to the truth. We now had access to third-party information. We now had access to unbiased information that these one criminal families was not propagating out. And 2005, 2010, as the internet continues to grow, and then 2010 to 2020, we now have billions of people that are awakening to the truth, that they could actually truly understand and love themselves from within, let go of this lifetime of bullshit dogma masks, right? All of these fake masks that society sells you in religion that they work alongside, and truly love yourself from within. You can truly actually think for yourself after that and reprogram your own subconscious mind. Live whatever life you want to live using our higher faculties that I teach about. You can use the same power that they use, but through the vibration of love that flows through all of life, that brought this planet to life. You can use the same mental powers and creative powers that they use, but through the vibration of love, through the frequency of love, through your heart, the vibration of creation, which is what we're doing. And fast forward to the Malaysian aircraft. The Malaysian aircraft And it blows my mind when people go to Google and they go to Quora or Quora, however, I know people pronounce it whatever way. Or they go to these ask websites. And they ask a bunch of teenagers and a bunch of random people, was the Malaysian aircraft really bombed by the Rockefellers? And all of these teenagers, I read through the responses. God, I should not have done that. I'm not going to do that again. I feel like I lost a couple IQ points. But basically, these teenagers were saying this. Oh, no, it's not possible for a legal patent to work like that. It's not possible. Don't believe everything you hear on the internet. Just go watch CNN or Fox News, and Snopes.com said it's not true. Here is my official citation of Snopes.com, which is owned by these left-wing propagandists. So guys, I'm going to give you a little bit more of an expert perspective, and I'm going to expose all of this. The Malaysian aircraft, okay, and I'm going to give you the third-party facts. They're going to blow and wake a lot of people the hell up. Okay, the Malaysian aircraft. There was 4 Chinese officials, or 4 Chinese people on that aircraft, or excuse me, 3. There was one, okay, all 3 of these people's names, right? All 3 of these people's names were on a legal patent for end-of-the-world technology, or very powerful technology. 3 people from China. There was one more name on this legal patent, and the name was David Rockefeller, or excuse me, Rockefeller. Holy shit. Now, this is where most people don't, or out of laziness, just like why we have so many Georges walking around, did not continue their research. And I worked for stem cell doctors real quick that were marketing to 60, 70, 80-year-olds that are not fools. They're not stupid. They're 60, 70, 80-year-olds. They've seen a thing or two in their life. And they made sure, the stem cell doctors, when they were doing their presentations like this, that they let them know our stem cells have been tested by third parties, not ourselves. Gosh, it's amazing how just common sense is not common anymore. So when you look outside of articles that you find on Google that this criminal family where we've been discussing publishes, you know, I discovered something mind-boggling. This legal patent with the 3 Chinese names on it and Rockefeller to end of the world, very powerful technology, to a company in Texas, Houston, Texas. It blows my mind how if any of these people die before in a court of law, or by this patent is legally approved. If this patent is legally approved, then if any of these people die, the rights are going to go to their family members. The beneficiaries is the technical term that we use in insurance and the insurance industry. If this is legally approved first, just like life insurance, if this is legally accepted and approved first, the beneficiaries are going to get it. But guess what? Yep, you're right. Guess what? It had not legally been approved yet. Before the Malaysian aircraft, it had not been approved yet. So after this, holy shit, after this Malaysian aircraft goes down, without the patent approved yet, guess who dies? All 3 Chinese people. And guess who's left living? And guess what happens 3 days after the Malaysian aircraft goes down? The legal patent was approved. Too late. 3 days late. It doesn't matter. Too late. Guess who gets all of the power? Wow. And even though they were, Chinese, you know, I grew up with a Japanese man. And Chinese and Japanese kanji and the readings is very difficult to translate into English. Very difficult. An entire name from Chinese is very difficult. But even then, their names were perfectly translated from the 3 Chinese names from this legal patent were perfectly translated with maybe 1 letter off the most, if even that. Holy shit. And this company in Texas announced and legally announced, this criminal said, "We are sorry for our employees that we lost in that aircraft." There were 17! Sorry, I get very excited about this. There were 17 Pentagon employees on that Malaysian aircraft. These 3 Chinese people were not making it off that airplane alive. They were going to either be fucking assassinated or that airplane was going down before that legal patent passed 3 days later. Holy shit. And guess what happened to all of you people? Guess what happened to us? The news reporters looked you in the eyes while reading their teleprompter. These psychopathic cowards. God, I can't wait until life, karma, the wrath of God, whatever you want to call it, burns the shit out of these pricks. These cowards looked you in the eyes and they told you, "The Malaysian aircraft, we do not know where it is." The same news and news reporters owned by the criminal family, the Rockefellers, that were on the legal patent that we just discussed, that was then passed, of course, 3 days later, that they now destroyed. Oh, little children died, and these news reporters looked you in the eyes and lied to you, covering up their bosses' bloody hands, blood-deep hands. I'm going to do one more, guys. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to do one more. Coronavirus. Watch the video in the description. Long story short, the Rockefellers were planning for this long ahead. The Rockefellers were planning for this way ahead of time. The Rockefellers, once again, they own the Rockefellers, these criminal families, they own all of the media. I call it the dying media because billions of people are waking up finally and awakening and discovering themselves and all of the subconscious mind and how they can reprogram their subconscious mind. The health and wellness industry is a multi-trillion-dollar industry now, and it's beautiful. And the Rockefellers, they own all of these major world global health institutions, global health organizations. We'll cut it off there, okay? And they created Corona. They thought about it, they created it with their minds, and then they sent it out. Why would a criminal family that we've already been discussing for 30 minutes, now why would they do this? Now they've gotten a little bit smarter than 9/11. Holy shit. The entire global economies crash, just like what's his name, the big investor, big investor, oh, I can't think of his name right now, but basically the most successful investor, Warren Buffett, says it perfectly. When the stock markets crash, you invest, because they're always going to go back up. That's how life works, right? What the law of polarity, the law of rhythm. There's more than just the law of attraction. But they know it's going to go back up, so they invest when it's at the very bottom. And you invest $5 million, $5 trillion, $5 billion when the stock markets crash, and then they go back up 200%. You're going to make a lot of money. So the Rockefellers that own all of the banks, all of the government systems, they create this virus, right? And now we all know that now. You can watch the video, you can watch more videos. They then market. This is the very important aspect. This is, like I said, this is my psychological and quantum physics explanation. This is very powerful. This is what they use themselves. This is trillionaire knowledge and information. Now, obviously, not all of us are greedy and want to chase $1 trillion. They marketed on the media and the news that they own coronavirus. I call it swine propaganda. All over. And if you understand how the subconscious mind works, through repetition of the subconscious mind, which cannot reject or deny any belief over time, if you are not consciously thinking, because consciously you can reject or accept an idea if the wheels in your head are turning. If the wheels aren't turning, then repetition, you begin to build a new belief in your subconscious mind. So this one family that's been using the media to brainwash the masses, they now market the idea in people's subconscious minds of corona. Tom Cruise, Scientologist, psychopathic Tom Cruise, oh my goodness, 1 week into their marketing campaign, Tom Cruise has coronavirus, quarantine him. Oh my God! I just watched all these videos of Tom Cruise in my subconscious mind. Oh my God, the world's coming to an end. Fox News just told me about corona. We're all gonna die. Let me get my mask on. There's one criminal family now, the Rockefellers, they now get to crash out the economies, destroy all their competition, and then the pharmaceutical companies they own get to make trillions of more dollars off of the ignorance of the masses. Now, I'm very proud and I'm very grateful that at least 40, if not 50% of humanity around the world call bullshit. They call bullshit. They said, wait a moment, do you know how many children died starving every month last year? How many people died from other diseases that this family created up here in the subconscious minds before it manifested in our bodies, which is exactly how it works. Exactly how our YouTube channel is curing autoimmune disorder in just weeks, and thyroid issues in weeks, oral bleeding in just weeks, and many more health issues, is through this subconscious repetition. The body, the faithful servant, listens. As long as you're actually thinking and deciding what you want your body to do. Now, these families that work with all of these dark pharmaceutical companies, what do you hear on the news 24/7 in their commercials? All of the issues and the swine that they replicate, and then the belief, walk by faith, not by sight, the belief then manifested in your body. And then they offer you all of these physical medications that only suppress the problem, that never really fix the problem, because the problem is up here. Our mind, our subconscious mind, tells our cells exactly how to vibrate, because the physical world is an illusion. The vibration then formulates and grows the disease, the problem, the swine. So this family then marketed and advertised all over their dead news, I call it, because people understand it's just a big cover-up now, or at least half of humanity now. And they marketed and advertised it, repetition. Then guess what happens? At the very peak of corona, they're happy now. They get a cash out big time. Not only cash out from their pharmaceutical companies, they get a double cash out from the stock markets. And okay, we'll give you the money you need to rebuild our disgusting rat race or matrix that half of humanity is still brainwashed in, because we've already cashed out twice. So who cares if we just lose a little bit of money to rebuild our spinning wheel? And now everything slowly starts to recover. Their bought-off politicians get to look like the superheroes, while they know behind the scenes that they just cashed out big time and just destroyed your lives, just like they looked you in the eyes when they read their Malaysian aircraft teleprompters. And I laugh because it's just ridiculous. Absolutely insanity. But anyways, guys, I don't want to focus on this anymore. Life is going to burn the shit out of these psychopathic criminals. And I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful that the health and wellness industry is $1 trillion industry now, and naturopaths is $1 billion booming industry. Subliminal affirmations, when written correctly, are curing diseases all around the world. The vibration of love that vibrates through all of life, all of humanity, the stars, the rainbows, the galaxies. The vibration of love. In just 4 years, 1 billion people collectively have meditated and are crying, being cured through the vibration of love that vibrates through all of life, even the stars and the rainbows. Energy flows everywhere, guys. And anyways, there's a lot of good happening. We are evolving and pushing forward. There was a quote that I really love at the end of the new Star Wars movie where Princess Leia says, "They want you to think you're alone, but others will come." Others will come. You know, there are so many loving and righteous souls that understand and love themselves on the inside, that are actually thinking, have some level of common sense. But they don't need their names in the spotlight. They don't need a bunch of fake likes on social media. But they're there. They're there. We are here, guys. We are fighting back. We are going to go to Mexico in June and film our unbiased documentary, present the loving side of Mexico the media will not show you. And I am very grateful and very excited to go to Mexico. And I'm very grateful and very privileged to continue making our subliminal affirmations and curing diseases around the world, fighting back. Because like I said, guys, life, karma, life, all of the energy is going to come back and crush them. Let's enjoy our lives in the meantime. Let's enjoy life. Let's fight back for life and push back with our own unique 400 trillion to one self that you have. I love you all. Wish you all the very best.